The Variable Man, by Philip K. Dick. In year 2128, humans had conquered the solar system and formed an empire known as Terra. Technological and scientific advancements had led to everything being specialized and modulated. Security Commissioner Reinhardt entered the room that stored the SRB supercomputer. This supercomputer that carried the data coming from all sectors could predict anything. It helped to determine which policies to be made, prevent major crimes or accidents from happening. Right now, Reinhardt used it to calculate Terra's chances of winning the war against an alien empire known as the Centaurus. 100 years ago, Terra's space explorers met a hostile Centauran fleet. Two empires clashed, both sides were evenly matched. They eventually ceased fire, but a Cold War persisted. Contact between both sides requires a few years of travel. The Centauran Empire had already formed an impenetrable ring around Terra, preventing any ship from exploring further into the unknown. Kaplan, the lab organizer, said,
"The odds are still in favor of the enemy's side, but we are still catching up. We had designed many new offensive weapons, but they countered with improved defenses. It will end soon as Terra turns out a weapon for which Centaurus can build no defense. But every weapon has a defense, design and discord. What I'm counting on is the lag."
Reinhardt returned to his office and immediately contacted Peter Sherikov, director of Military Design Department, through his confidential channel. Big, bulky shape of a man appeared in Reinhardt's vidscreen. Reinhardt never liked the man. He wanted to get rid of him in every way possible if it hadn't been for the war.
"What's up, Commissioner?" said Sherikov. "You know we're busy. I'm dropping over your way. I want to see a full description of your work and your progress. You can find a regular departmental report placed somewhere in your office. I'm not interested in that. I want to know what you're doing. I will be there in half an hour."
In his high-speed cruiser, Reinhardt reached the Ural mountain range and Sherikov was there to greet him. They passed through the check and into the auxiliary labs. Along the way, Reinhardt noticed a cone-shaped object covered with wires.
"What is it?" "Icarus. Recall him? Remember the Greek myth, the legend of Icarus? Icarus flew. This is an idea of Jameson Hedge, the same man who invented the instantaneous interstellar vidsender 40 years ago. He came up with a method of faster-than-light travel, the FTL drive, allowing an object to travel 50 times faster than the speed of light. The problem is that as speed increases, its length diminishes and its mass increases. This is in line with E equals mc squared. The object will still continue gaining velocity until its length becomes nil and its mass infinite. Hedge's experimental object disappeared but not destroyed, so Hedge's next experiment was to slow the FTL object down. He managed to do so, but that resulted in his death and the destruction of all his equipment. When the FTL object re-entered space-time universe, it came into being the space already occupied by matter. Possessing incredible mass, the object exploded in an unfathomable proportions. It is obvious that the FTL drive was not possible for space travel. So this is a failed experiment. No. If you looked the other way around, that explosion had the power to wipe out a few planets at once, even destroying an entire solar system or two. Icarus is the perfect bomb for us to use against the Centaurus. Once the bomb is launched, the Centaurans won't be able to detect or stop it. How could they, if the bomb travels much faster than the speed of light?" "But why didn't you tell me this in the first place?" "'Cause there's a catch."
Sherikov led Reinhardt to another room where a small globe-shaped object was being held.
"This is Icarus' central control turret. This will bring Icarus back to sub-FTL flight at the correct moment. Without it, Icarus will miss the entire Centaurus system. Right now, it's unfinished. Lots of wiring and relays are required." "Well, when will it be ready?" "I want it right now." "Well, around 10 days. 10 days then. You know, I'm not so sure I can trust you." "Neither do I."
Reinhardt fed Sherikov's estimate to the SRB supercomputer. It showed 7-6 in favor of Terra for the very first time. Without hesitation, Reinhardt issued the mobilization order to the council. At the Histo Research Center, a scientist who was experimenting with the time bubble machine picked up an interesting find from 1914. He reported this to the director, but the director told him to cut off the machine as all equipment has to be free or military work due to the mobilization order.
But a time bubble has to be regulated automatically. Bring the bubble back manually poses too much of a risk. I said do it.
200 years ago, Thomas Cole was sharpening a knife when a tornado hit. His job was to fix things, all sorts of things for a meal and pocket money. He got sucked into the tornado along with his cart and 2 horses. The next thing he knew, he was surrounded by 4 white walls with a group of people in white coats staring at him. Struck with a sense of danger, he drove his horse out of a building that looked like a hospital. Everything around him was so unfamiliar. People wearing strange clothing. Planes without wings. Cole picked a random house. No matter where this place was, he had to find some work to do. He could not find the doorbell. Then, something clicked, the door swung open and a big man appeared.
What do you want? I'm looking for work. Do you have anything broken? I can fix anything. Apply to the Placement Department of Federal Activities Control Board. All jobs are handled through them. And why are you wearing ancient clothes? Ancient? Yeah. And aren't those horses? Horses went extinct 100 years ago during the 5th Atomic War. Who are you anyway?
Thomas Cole did not know where to start.
You better talk fast or there'll be a security car here in 5 minutes.
Cole had no choice but to run. The man then threw a thin sheet of metal tube at Cole and hit him. Cole managed to quickly get back on his feet. He climbed up his cart and drove his horses away.
Commissioner, said Kaplan, the lab organizer, something's went wrong.
He led Reinhardt to the SRB room. The commissioner was astonished. New figures began to show, 4-24 for Centaurus. Then 78-15 in Terra's favor. More odds turned up until a blank result occurred. Nothing else happened. The supercomputer met an error.
It's that man, the man from the past, who the history research people had dug up as they cut the circuit of the time bubble too soon. The moment they sent the report plate to the system, this happens. He's a variable, Commissioner, a variable the computer cannot compute.
It reminded him of an old poem. For want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For want of the shoe, the horse was lost. For want of the horse, the rider was lost. Reinhardt did not believe a single man could subvert the entire system, but this man was that nail. Reinhardt ordered his men to hunt down the man from the past. Thomas Cole eventually stopped his cart and unrolled the sheet of metal tube that the big guy had thrown at him. It was an identification document. The writing was strange to him. At the top right-hand corner, there was a date. October 6, 2128. That was 200 years in the future. That explained everything. Then, Cole saw a shadow of a security ship. Instinct made him leap out of the cart and run. A flash of white light came from the ship, followed by a white orb of fire, resulting in a shockwave that blasted Cole away. It left a large crater on the ground. Thomas Cole was safe, but his cart and his 2 horses are gone. Thomas was exhausted from running. His stomach began to growl. He hadn't had food for a very long time. He needed to find work. In a distance, Cole saw 2 boys arguing over a small electronic box. A boy called Steven said,
Give me back my intersystem vid sender or I'll tell Dad. Another boy called Earl said, Make me.
Steven pushed Earl away. The box slipped from Earl's hand and fell to the ground, broken.
See what you did? You broke my vid sender. You pushed me. Thomas Cole came and said, Perhaps I can fix it for you. Who are you? I'm the guy who can fix anything. Can you fix this? Sure.
Steven handed over the box to Cole.
Don't! He'll steal it. Before I do, I need you to give me some food and hot coffee. I can't fix this for free, you know.
Steven agreed and went to his house. He sneaked into the kitchen, pressed the button on the stove, and took out some hot food from it. Steven returned just after Thomas Cole had done fixing his vidsender. Steven began testing his vidsender while Cole was busy munching his food.
Hello, hello, this is operator 6-Z75 calling. Can you hear me? This is operator 6-Z75. Can you hear me?
The vidsender responded. Then, Stephen had a weird expression on his face. It was Earl's turn to try and he had the same reaction as Stephen.
Well, does it work alright? Yes, it works. It works fine.
When Thomas Cole left, the kids looked at each other and said, "Wow." The repaired vidsender later brought the attention of the kid's father. He reported the matter to Reinhardt and showed him the box. Reinhardt was in utter disbelief. The variable man was still out there. One of the security ships had spotted him and threw a proton projectile at him. Apparently, it had missed. Sherikov came to see him.
What's going on? Why do your men seal off the SRB room?
Reinhardt let him gain access to the SRB room. First, the supercomputer showed 99-2 in favor of Terra.
Wow, that's good news.
Then, it showed 4-97 in favor of Centaurus.
Oh gosh.
A series of odds followed until the supercomputer went silent.
If I let the council know about this, they will call off the mobilization order and resume waiting. You know how bureaucratic and inefficient they are. How does this happen? It's all because of the man in the past that the Histo Research Department accidentally set loose. The variable man. He had this uncanny ability to fix things, an ability that the computer cannot compute. Nobody fixes things around here. Specialization of tasks is an inevitable part of human evolution. Take this person at the desk, for example. I know what he's doing, but I have no idea how he does it. He has an entirely different field of knowledge and expertise behind him. And there are fields within a field. But the variable man is different. He's an artist, a jack of all trades. He can cut across our lives like a knife blade. He had to be eliminated. You can't be serious. Why don't you just reject him as a factor? Rejecting real data is treason. The supercomputer cannot accept incomplete data. There is also something I would like you to see.
Reinhardt showed Sherikov the small electronic box.
This is originally a kid's toy created to mimic the intersystem vidsender. It had a contact range of a few city blocks. After our guy had fixed it, it was able to contact a ship stationed near the Centaurus system. Aren't the regular vidsender the size of 20 tons safe? Exactly. You sure this is the man from the past? He came from the early part of the 20th century. Edison, the Wright brothers, those people had that kind of intuition about machinery. This man is too dangerous to be alive. Sources say that he is in the Alpine mountain range. I'll have that area bombed. You are too impulsive, too Anglo-Saxon. How's your progress with the weapon? That's what I'm here for. I tried contacting you several times, but they said you are not available. There is still some catching up to do. Catching up? You mean you're still behind? I've taken my crew off it and tried robot workers. They have great dexterity, but they can't make decisions. This calls for some kind of an artist. Are you fucking kidding me? Our only hope to win the war against the Centaurus depends on the information from the supercomputer, and that 7-to-6 ratio depends on your data. You better get it done on schedule or you'll be in deep trouble. No worries, man. I'll get it done as soon as possible.
When Sherikov left, Reinhardt said,
If you don't, you shall be executed.
in the Albertine Mountains, Thomas Cole had built a habitat for himself and set up a few traps to hunt rabbits for food. Then, a few wingless planes appeared and a group of soldiers came raining down. Cole tried to escape but he was eventually captured. A huge man approached him.
I'm Peter Sherikov, the leading research scientist in charge of Military Designs Department. I'm afraid you're coming with us.
Back in the lab, Sherikov unfastened Cole's restraints.
Sorry for the hospitality, but
Sherikov showed him a video of a huge mushroom cloud over a mountain range.
if we didn't get you first, this is where you'll end up in. This is Security Commissioner Reinhardt's doing. He wants you dead. He thinks you are a bug in his system. He treats the supercomputer as some kind of god. He never understands that the people are the ones who determine the war, not the supercomputer. What do you want from me?
Sherikov showed him the control turret.
It's unfinished. I told Reinhardt that the turret was expected to be completed in 10 days. It has been 5 days now, and we are still nowhere near its completion. This is Hedges' work after all. But he's dead, and we could not finish what he had started no matter how hard we try. Perhaps you can look into it.
Thomas Cole's eyes were fixated on the globe. He studied it like a fortune teller holding a crystal ball. Sherikov gave him a pair of goggles.
You'll need this. The wiring is too tiny for the naked eye. So what happens to me if I don't wire this control for you? Then I'll turn you over to Reinhardt. Reinhardt will kill you instantly. And if I do, can you really return me to my own time? Of course.
Thomas Cole began to work. At Reinhardt's office, Dixon, an officer of Western Regional Command, came with the news.
Commissioner, according to our intelligence, one of the spies had told the Central Centurion Council that a new devastating weapon called Icarus has been completed and is ready to fire at any moment. Well, it's true that the Centaurus has spies everywhere in Terra, but I never expected Icarus to be completed 2 days in advance. I really underestimated Sherikov. And there's something else.
What Dixon was about to report was going to make Reinhardt's jaw drop. Security troops led by Reinhardt had arrived at the Ural Mountains.
What a pleasant surprise, Commissioner. You've arrived just in time. We have finished the wiring of the Icarus Central Control Turret. Yes, I know. Peter Sherikov, you are under arrest. What's the meaning of this? Sherikov, you underestimate our counter-Centaurus intelligence. The Centaurans knew that you had the variable man in your lab helping you with the wiring.
Having heard this, Sherikov broke free from the police and escaped into his lab. Reinhardt's men forced their way in, but the lab was heavily shielded. So Reinhardt ordered a mission attack. Thomas Cole was in the room where the control turret was held. The first missile had caused a rumble through the earth, shaking the earth under him. On the bench, tools and equipment danced up and down. He headed for the door, but the door was locked. Fortunately, he had the tools and the skill to bust the door open. He managed to avoid the crossfire between the two sides and entered the big chamber where Icarus was held. It took him only a few seconds to find the force field generator. There was no switch. Then he remembered that the guard had controlled it from his wrist. The adaptation was easier than expected. He ran the wiring through his belt, down his trouser legs, under his shirt, all the way to his wrists and ankles. 2 security police appeared. They raised their blasters and fired point blank. The generator was activated just in time and the rays were deflected. He traversed through the dead bodies and made his way out of the lab and into the hill. When he thought he was safe, he took a good look at his tools and began thinking what he was going to do next. Just then, a glowing object approached him. Cole ran, but the blast coming from the object caught him. Blazing inferno ate hungrily through his shield. Crying in agony, he fell down the hill.
Did we get him? Yes, we did. I released a force burst bomb the moment I saw his figure. I don't see how anyone could have lived through a force burst bomb.
They approached the location where Cole had fallen.
Wow, he's still alive. Must be some kind of protection shield he applied to himself.
Cole, said Sherikov. He got captured by the security police. He saw Cole's charred body. Oh God.
Dixon got him with the forcer's bomb. Thomas Cole was indeed an amazing person. Thomas Cole, eh? Anyway, I got what I came here for. Sherikov, you're relieved of all authority. From now on, one of my men will operate the designs. When the war is over, you'll be tried before the council. And what about Thomas Cole? Have him loaded up, taken back to the city, and officially put to sleep by the Euthanasia Ministry.
Back in the council, Reinhardt entered the new data concerning Icarus and the control turret into the supercomputer. He had already signaled to all fleets to commence the war. All he had to do was to wait for the results. A feeling of triumph raced through Reinhardt. He had won, everything was going according to plan. The result was finally revealed by the supercomputer. 100 to 1, against Terra.
What happened? What had gone wrong? Commissioner, Icarus was launched, but the bomb failed to go off.
The war broke out. At first, Terran forces had the upper hand. But 2 hours later, the tides began to shift and eventually Terran forces were all defeated by the Centauran army. The war was over.
I've already empowered negotiators to arrange a truce, said Margaret Duff, the council president. To our surprise, the Centauran High Council readily agreed. Their whole empire was rotten to the core, and a political reform was about to take place.
Although this seemed to be a piece of pretty good news for Terra, Reinhardt reacted as if all hope was lost. He banged his fist angrily at the table.
Why didn't the bomb explode? Oh, Thomas Cole, that variable man, he must have sabotaged the turret. The supercomputer knew, and he's still alive. I'm going to use my blaster to blow him smithereens right now. Where are you going? To the euthanasia ministry, of course. He's not there. I had Sherikov's full authority restored, and I then had Cole transferred there and put into Sherikov safekeeping. I want to make sure that Cole recovers, so we can keep our promise to him. Our promise to return him back to his own time. You don't know what you are doing. No, it's you who don't. This is not the day of defeat. This is a day of the victory. The most incredible victory Terra has ever had. Sherikov will explain when he gets here.
Soon Sherikov entered the council with a briefcase full of papers.
Icarus did not explode as intended, but it reappeared within Centaurus' system and then got absorbed by the sun, turned into gas at once. What? Thomas Cole solved Hedges' problem. He found a way to bring the FTL object back to the universe without collision. But that would mean, yes, the FTL drive is now applicable to space travel. Thomas Cole is a strange person. He has a kind of intuition about machines. He knows nothing of the technology in our time. Nobody told him how Hedges' FTL drive works. He just deals with the things themselves directly. Thomas Cole looked into the globe. He saw unfinished wiring, an incomplete machine, something to be fixed. Thanks to him, he opened up a new universe for us. Then we better get to work. We'll have to reconvert from raw production to ship designing. That's right, but you are not going to have anything to do with it.
Reinhardt took out his blaster and backed towards the door. Get back, Reinhardt shouted, but Sherikov was quick enough to sweep his immense bulk in front of Reinhardt and knocked him against the wall. His blaster was taken by one of the council members and found that it was fully loaded.
I'll kill you. I'll kill all of you. Don't ever think about it.
Thomas Cole was sitting up in bed when Sherikov came to the door.
I see that you are getting better. Thanks to our advanced therapy, your burns should be healed in no time. Sorry that the bomb did not go off as you intended. No worries. Your breakthrough had turned people in Terra into a state of frenzy. They wanted me to have the FTL ship ready by the end of the week. Thousands of applications are ready on file. Men and women wanting to get in on the initial flight. Too bad you won't be there to see it. We got to get you back to your own time. All we can offer you is something to finance your business. You get a new set of clothes, tools, and a fix-it card. Afraid I must get back to the labs. By the way, you might want to kill some time by looking at these. What is it? It's the schematics of a system I had in mind. We simply had to cut our reliance on the SRB's machines over our political affairs. The people each will be given a gimmick to raise and decide issues directly, and will set up an active field when touches that touches all others when a large enough segment of population wants a certain thing done. Sounds great, right? Unfortunately, I could not get a model to function. A few bucks. Well, I hope I'll see you again before you go. Maybe have dinner together sometime, eh?
But Thomas Cole wasn't listening. He was busy studying the schematics with great interest. Sherikov softly closed the door after him. He whistled merrily as he left.
Hey, remember to sign up for my website and get some free reviews.